I just realized I'm muted. Welcome to Capital Races Club. I'm Samson Almeres, and we had some technical difficulties, and we're also currently. One sec. There we go. Sorted. So, welcome to Capital Races Club. I'm gonna cut the first 2 minutes of this episode for sure. Um, Today's episode is with Maurice Philogene, and he's gonna share with y'all a super interesting life story and his experiences acquiring all the 5 freedom principles that that he's acquired. And while we're waiting for the guest to, yes, awesome, you're here. All right, without further ado, Maurice Philogene.
What's up, man?
Ah, yes, you made it, man. I'm so happy right now.
I wouldn't let you down, brother.
Uh, you had me sweating a little bit.
There's a lot going on in the background, man, but I was very aware of us getting
Yes. Okay, so for all of you all who haven't connected with Maurice already, definitely connect with him. He's on each platform I'm on too. So Instagram, LinkedIn. We're already live right now on LinkedIn, Twitter, and on YouTube, which is pretty cool. Exactly. So for anybody who hasn't connected with Maurice Philogene already, would you like to give us a little bit of a brief background info on you before we dive in
Sure.
more of the freedom principles?
Yeah, brother. My name is Maurice Philogene. I go by Mo. I much prefer it. I think in the context of what we are going to talk about, I'll just tell you where I am. I am 46 years old. I'm a father of 2. I'm retired from the W-2 world. But there is no such thing as retirement. I had parallel careers, 25 years in management consulting as an executive, 22 years in the U.S. military as a lieutenant colonel, ending up as a lieutenant colonel. I was a federal agent. So think NCIS, but in the Air Force, it's called OSI. I was a street cop in D.C. area for 15 years or so as well. I have traveled to 100 countries over 300 times, and I'm still doing it. And the biggest thing is I'm huge on freedom. I was very aware of earning my time and financial freedom when I was very early in my 20s, and I've executed on it. So now that I've executed on it, I help people do the same, and it could be a variety of ways, right? Could be real estate. I invested in real estate starting very young, up to 35 single family homes. I now invest in apartment complexes, well over 1,000. I'm not even sure where I am anymore. It doesn't matter. And then I am developing real estate in the Mediterranean, specifically Cyprus, because it's a passion of mine to be a meaningful part of a community like that overseas. Because I know the East Coast already. I was born in Boston, born in New York, raised in Boston, live in Washington, D.C. Why not the inner city kid from Boston being a real estate developer in the Mediterranean? So I execute on that. One last thing, Sam. My biggest thing right now is philanthropy. I take a very healthy portion of everything that I make. I want to impact communities in a huge way. I want to change lives. It matters to me. And that is the purpose that gets me up every day at 4 a.m. because I know I got to go create more wealth to do more good. So that is who I am.
That is incredible. And we have a lot in the audience who are watching this from Los Angeles. We have Don from Los Angeles. We have Dale from, he didn't say where. If you're watching this live, definitely put in where you're watching this from, who you'd like to connect with. If you have any questions that we can bring up later on after the interview questions, definitely share those too or insights. This is an interactive interview where you all get to learn at the same time together. So we have Cheryl saying hi from Chicago, Billy Keels all the way from Spain, Barcelona.
Billy! What up?
It's really fun having you all here live. So You said first of all the one that actually caught my attention more than most of those is philanthropy
Yeah.
and that your purpose. Let's start there because if we dig in deep, let's see how fun this can become. So, would you like to talk more about that purpose, how you discovered that, and
It's one of the
that
freedom
journey?
principles, right? I'll get into the freedom principles, but one of them is purpose, freedom to execute on your purpose. Here's what I figured out over time. And I'm not saying if when I speak about this stuff, I might be speaking about it with a level of confidence that people think I had it figured out a long time ago. I didn't, not at all. I think the confidence that comes out of me now is because I figured out who I was about 2 years ago. Like I know exactly who I am, what I'm doing. Um, I have always been a man of service, one way or the other. It was kind of ingrained from jump. Being in the military at 21, I impacted people around the world in a way that most will never understand, because I was a federal agent for my 20 plus year career, and you're in the top secret world and you are running around doing Jason Bourne stuff and doing diplomatic stuff and impacting communities. And I loved it, man. Um, so my purpose has been to help people, so much so that in 2008, coming back from being deployed post 9/11, I tried to quit my corporate firm so I could go be a police officer in my local community. I just had a really amazing boss who I just saw for the first time in 10 years, by the way. And she and I concocted a way where I could be a street cop and an executive at the same time. So I never quit. But I just wanted to give back to community. You start to realize over time, especially once you have enough money to cover your basic needs, which I did by 2013, that life is not about money. It's about doing things for other people. Over time, the metric for success in my life has become how I impact my kids and the generation of my family, and then how I impact other communities, and how many of those people are going to be interested in coming to my funeral when I'm dead. What did I do good for people? So I just like it, man. And one of the ways I do it is through philanthropy, through giving and moving the needle for people right away. Like over Christmas, I was in Lebanon going door to door on Christmas night, paying for people's surgeries. It's a beautiful thing. It's the way I want to do it. I'm not telling anyone else to do it that way. I don't give to charities per se. I want to go give to people directly and impact them. So philanthropy just means a lot to me. It just means helping people.
That's inspirational and on so many levels, and also that you go physically to each organization. It probably impacts even more when you take that time to meet
Yeah.
with them and get to know them too.
Listen, you should. A brother from East Coast United States shows up on your doorstep outside Beirut, Lebanon on Christmas night and says, "Don't worry, we're gonna give you the hip surgery you've needed for 10 grand." It changes people's entire decade, right? I think that's a beautiful thing, and selfishly, I want to be part of their lives. So it's something that I take pride in a big way.
Incredible. I saw some of those videos when you were sharing that,
Yeah,
and it is incredible watching that. Would you like to first go through the freedom principles for those that aren't
sure.
aware already? Then we can continue with the Q&A. We have a lot in the audience who are sharing where they are, and definitely connect with each other, everybody. So it's fun having this interaction going on. And if you have more questions, feel free to put them in. So what are the five, or are there, how many freedom principles are there, and what are they?
I think they're infinite. I mean, I focus on certain ones, but there's so many different ways for people to generate freedom. And freedom is not just a money thing, but money certainly helps. I was aware of my potential freedom in my 20s. I think that awareness gave me a leg up on a lot of people. I could care less about titles at work, and I knew to use my paycheck to buy assets to generate revenue in the future because I wanted freedom. But here's how it all materialized for me: financial freedom, time freedom, geographic freedom, freedom to execute on your purpose the way that we talked about. I have that freedom. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And then freedom to build meaningful relationships. Like I know you now, Sam, right? Um, I had to build relationships to have next phases in life. So I'm very aware of building relationships. Financial freedom is an easy one. But in my definition, it's more passive income than we have expenses. Because if you have 5 grand of passive income and you have 2 grand of expenses, then you're free. You're living off $3,000 worth of income. I would much rather people be taught that in school than go memorize an event in history or something like that. Like, we need ways to live. That's financial freedom. Time freedom is just that. It is the only asset we have. There's 28,000 days in an average life, right? I have 10,500 and change left. We need time. So time freedom, if you have time freedom, you're very, very wealthy. Geographic freedom, I think, is a sneaky one. I believe people are happier when they have the ability to move around. Now, that can mean moving around down the street to the next city, to the next state. But for me, it's the next country in a lot of ways. Because when we do that, we feel mobile and we also have constant learning. We were always learning in grade school, high school, college. And then we got to this silly place called work and adulthood, and we started pressing repeat. And that's why people get so stressed out, because all they're doing is existing. They're not living. They're just going circle, 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 hamster wheel. Geographic freedom is a huge deal because you are, in my case, going to different countries, immersing yourself, meeting new people. You have a beginner's mindset. I don't know anything about that particular country. I don't know how to get around. I don't know how to deal with the bus system. It makes you feel engaged again. So that's geographic freedom. That also includes things that don't allow you to be mobile. I virtualize my mail. I don't buy a lot of stuff. I can literally go to any place on this planet and exist for 4 months because my business and my personal life is automated. So that's geographic freedom. Purpose, we already talked about. It's really important, Sam, because once you do have enough money, or if you don't get there are people, for example, they might be an immigrant rights attorney making $70,000 a year, but because immigrant rights is their purpose, they are freer than the CEO who's sitting in the corner office making $20 million at 11 o'clock because he can't leave or she can't leave, right? Purpose matters. And then relationships are really important. And I'm not talking about necessarily networking. I'm talking about, you need freedom to go build meaningful relationships. If you're stuck at your normal job 18 hours a day and you're too exhausted and all you do is go home, you don't have time to go meet a Samson or a Maurice or a Dale or a Billy Keels, right? You need freedom to build relationships, to move on to next levels and next chapters in your life, and to grow as a person. If you can focus on one or more of those freedoms, I think in general you have more wealth than most.
That's a fantastic way to look at life, and also with purpose. All of these encompasses lifestyle.
Yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
that's the common denominator, I would say.
Yeah, it's all lifestyle design. We can design our lives. That's exactly what I did. I designed my life to be the way that I wanted, and the goal was not what everybody else told me, which was titles and things at work. And I don't buy into any of that stuff.
That's super cool. Hey, this is a perfect segue to announce our sponsor for today's episode. Today's sponsor is Hotel Shkan, and I'm going to play a little bit of a video clip for you all, so you get to share. So you get to see where. Oh, 1 second. This is the first time I'm doing with a video, so hang on a minute, because everything is live. It's going to look a little bit different. Let's see if it works. Does it work? Awesome. Wait. Add to stream. And then wait, this is Hotel Shkan. It's here in Veracruz, Mexico. And it's awesome. Definitely check it out. They're our sponsor for today. And yep, the link is in the comment section. Is the link in the comment section? There we go. The link is right here. Feel free to check it out. Shkan is the place to go. Thank you so much for watching this. All right. back to the interview. Cool. That's the first time we've done that. Did it work? I don't know how it looks on the other.
I didn't hear the thing, but I have the link. I'm gonna go check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, we're right now here at that hotel, so they're super like it's off the beaten path. Most people don't get to experience that. So
yeah, but that's the type of place you want to go. When Sam, you know this. I'm a travel hacker. I don't travel like a tourist ever. You want the off the beaten places like the XGN Hotel or a hostel in some cases, but that's the best way to do it.
It for sure is. So we're gonna with the freedom principles. When you were talking more about purpose,
yeah,
can we dive deeper into purpose and how you found your purpose?
Yeah, that's a touchy one because and I don't mind talking about it at all.
We can circle back because you said about 2 years ago you realized your purpose.
Nope, I'm happy to talk about it. When I got back from deploying, so I was deployed running a federal agent field office in Turkey and Africa for 2 years, almost 2 years. When I got back, I really struggled to reintegrate into corporate culture, just an American life and all that type of stuff. And I had to figure something out. And I had conversations with some mental health professionals and all that. It's really hard deploying as a military person because you're doing all these amazing things around the world. And then you know what happens? I didn't have PTSD, none of those things. I wasn't shot at, none of that. What happened to me was I was doing all these amazing, impactful things around the world, meeting all these amazing people and learning as a human. And then I got back to normal corporate life and East Coast life. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I struggled to reintegrate. So I talked to a few people, got some professional help, and I ended up on this book called Viktor Frankl's
Man's Search for Meaning.
Man's Search for Meaning. Thank you. And I'm not going to go into the book. He was a Holocaust survivor. He was looking for meaning in life because he lost his wife, his mother, his father, his brother, his sister. He lost everything. So what was the purpose of being on the planet? Victor penned this thing called logotherapy. He talks about it in the book. It's really, really powerful. And what I learned about myself was there's 3 things that are purposeful for me. 1, to be in love. You can interpret that how you will. It could be romantic. It can be with your family. 2, to be loved by a community. So if I'm loved by a community, be it in Turkey, Lebanon, the United States, DC, Silver Spring, Maryland, that means I'm doing something good for that community. And it feeds me when I know that I've done something good for people, hence me being a police officer. So 2 is being loved by a community. And then 3 is constant learning. My constant learning is travel and immersing in culture and starting businesses and getting involved in things I know nothing about. I don't know squat about developing real estate in the Mediterranean, but I'm on my 3rd project right now, right? So those are my 3 purposes, and I execute them using the resources I have available to me, like Quattro Capital, the company that I started with my 4 amazing partners. I help investors find their own versions of financial freedom using Quattro Capital. I became a police officer to execute on the purpose. I'm now a philanthropist to execute on the purpose. But I found my purposes by researching and figuring out what mattered to me on this planet. Because when I came back from that deployment, man, I was lost. I was totally lost. I didn't care about money. I wasn't connecting. So I dove deep and figured out what it was, and I've figured it out. And because I know my purpose, I get up every day, 4 a.m., and I get after it in a big way.
That's intense, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I've noticed a common thread between high performers is they usually have a drive way more than just the task at hand or the.
So true. And that drive is typically not money. It's typically not money, or if it is, it fades or they make a mistake. Like Elon doesn't need any more money. You know what I mean? he's trying to change the way we live in a way. But it's purposeful what he's doing to him. That's why he's still doing it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Would you like to share about the more in depth of geographic, time, or financial? Whichever comes next. Because
uh,
I believe purpose is the one that started all of them, right? And
yeah.
then so whichever in whatever order, feel free
I mean,
to talk about.
I'm happy to speak to both. On the financial freedom side, I didn't want to sit behind a desk. I don't. There's nothing wrong with working. You're talking to the ultimate worker, right? I had three parallel careers at the same time for 20 plus years, but I wanted it to be my choice if I went to work. The way that I figured out how to gain my own financial freedom, I bought a condo to live in when I was 23. It appreciated in value. I asked my father what that was. He explained equity. I was like, holy crap. I just made $30,000 just because another place sold for the same thing. So I went to the library, pre Google, pre Yahoo. I read. I bought 10 more places in the same year. And I just knew after talking to a realtor, I'm like 24 doing this, 23, 24. She said, man, you can just buy these little condos and pay them off over time to get this passive income thing you're talking about. So that's what I did. I think anyone can do it. You can. My journey was buying single family homes and then taking the cash flow from home number one, plus my salary for my corporate firm, plus my military salary. And I took 60 to 70% of everything that I made and I just kept buying them. I just kept buying them. And then over time, a couple of them would appreciate and then I would pay them off. So I created 160 grand worth of cash flow by the time I was 33. And then, but I didn't quit work. I coupled it with my salary and I kept doing it again and again and again until the point where it's a self sustaining circle where it runs itself. I think financial freedom is one of those things that you have to figure out the best way to achieve it based on your own goals. I love real estate for it. The reason why I love real estate for it is not because I need 20 million in the bank. It's because real estate sends you a check every month without you doing anything. Once you initially get it set up or doing minimal. Passive income to me is the holy grail of financial freedom. But certainly there's other aspects like, you know, good debt versus bad debt, managing your daily finances and all those types of things. But I'm very, very passionate about helping people get financial freedom. I coach people on it now. Um, so that's my perspective. And it just moves faster with apartment complexes and other large scale projects. I've done mobile home communities now. Um, Getting ready to do a industrial thing with one of my partners for the first time. So it's listen, anyone can do it. Take your paycheck, take 60 to 70% of it, store it. When you have enough to buy an asset, couple the money from the asset with your paycheck, buy another asset, press repeat until you have enough. So you have a choice whether or not you go to work.
That's golden nuggets right there. For everybody watching the replay, definitely go back a couple of minutes. There you got it. We're done. Capital Races Club. No, let's continue with the freedoms because this I think it's fascinating because a lot of people talk about stuff. You've done a lot of stuff, and I would like to share something. I don't know. Maybe you could share about this. You had a lot of different workplaces, a lot of different positions in life. I've even watched a movie where you are like you're part of the movie, so it's like, oh my god, that's Mo. It's so cool. So it for me, let's share with everybody who's watching this video
Yeah.
or
I think
hearing the
that's a good
recording. How do
example.
you?
Remember, I told you I don't like press and repeat. It's not my thing. That doesn't mean I don't like getting good at something. I will stay with things for a very long time, but I don't want to just do one thing my entire life. That's just me. I like I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I usually never am. I always want to start things from a beginner's mindset. So what Sam is talking about is the fact that he saw me acting on a movie called Tuck Everlasting years ago. So I'm a Screen Actors Guild actor. I started it way back in the day, and I took a break for a while, and then I came back, and I've done McDonald's commercials, Nike commercials. I've been in a few movies. I was just in an HBO miniseries that's coming out soon. Um, I just do it here and there, and it's important. I mean, it's like we've got this one life to experience whatever it is that you want to experience, and I just make the time to get stuff done and to be a part of things that I know nothing about. And it's not, oh, I'm trying to be the best. I'm just trying to do me. I don't like. I want it to be a police. Listen, I don't take no for an answer on anything. I ask better questions. Can I be an executive and be a police officer and a federal agent? I found a way to do all three at the same time. Can I be an actor? Yep, I found a way to do that. Can I be a real estate developer in the Mediterranean? I found a way to do that. Can I build a business here with four amazing partners? I found a way to do that. Um, I just, people are limiting themselves or looking at their peer and saying, well, he or she is the executive vice president, so I'm going to go do that. Nah, do what makes you happy in your heart. Find a way. And Samson, I got really good at not telling people what I was doing, so I wouldn't have the little crabs in the barrel talking to you about that's not possible. All those things that I've done, I don't think I'm unique. I think there's a lot of people who do a lot of different things. I just am very consistent at it. Um, it's just funny, and things wrap around. And now, because I have more time freedom, I'm doing way more acting jobs. It's crazy how it's all occurring all of a sudden, and no one would ever know that I was an actor. I just like to do it. I enjoy it because it's something I have to learn over and over and over again and refine my skill. But then I'll take a break, and then I'm like, balls to the wall on building a business somewhere too. So it's good to do all these things.
That's excellent. We're gonna take a couple of questions from the
Yeah.
audience in the meanwhile. So we had a question earlier from Cecilia Holmeres. For those that don't know, Cecilia is behind the scenes here.
Why
Hi.
So she asked in LinkedIn Live, she was asking, how often do you travel, Mo? And do you also help out others in the countries that you visit? This was when we were talking about purpose.
Yeah, so I travel all the time. I've been in DC now for the last 3 weeks. In the next 3 weeks, I will be in Dominican Republic, Cyprus, Lebanon, and one more, St. Lucia, for a thing I have to go to. I never, when people look at my travel record, if you will, and they're like, man, that costs a lot of money. No, it doesn't. I travel hack. I know how to do it really, really well. And I was intentional about not waiting until I was 45 to start traveling. Started traveling when I was 15 and I never stopped ever. What I do really well though, and I hope other people take this note, is I binge travel, meaning 2019, right before the pandemic, I went to Finland, specifically the Arctic in Finland. Oh, you know this. I went to your country 5 times in 6 months.
That's insane.
How are you going to Finland 5 times? Because I would get on a plane on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night from DC, show up in Helsinki on Friday, have Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, get on a plane on Monday, and be home by 2 p.m. There, I might have gotten that trip in for $500, or I could go down to DC to one of my restaurants. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. I could go down to DC and meet with one of the fellas and blow $500 at a restaurant. It's just a choice, and travel is not that difficult, and it's actually, yes, it can be expensive, but you have to find ways to get around that. Self-educate, read travel hacking books. I funnel my entire business and personal life through 2 credit cards, because they're tied to United Airlines, and I generate a business class ticket once a month because I do a lot of business now, right? Like I've been hacking all this time. So for Cecilia asking how often do I travel, it's monthly, if not more. And also, do you help out others in countries that you visit? Of course. So when I went to Finland, the constant learning thing, I learned about Sam's native, in his country, in Finland, the native Swami people, and how much they value, for example, the presence of deer, and they they use every single aspect of that animal in respect to it, especially in the north. Um, and then just spent a lot of time with them. When I'm in Lebanon now, Lebanon is my philanthropic location at the moment. So I am constantly giving there. Probably, I don't know, dispersed maybe 100 grand there over the last year or something like that. But it it just, that's what travel does, and I'm happy to be doing it. But I do travel quite a bit.
That's incredible. And yes, when you went to Finland, we were not there anymore. We had already left. We
Yeah,
had started our journey, and we've been, I mean, traveling since. So
yeah.
I think she's very excited because yeah, we followed your journey a lot and super inspiring. There was another question, by the way, for everybody who's watching this live. Also, the ones who are watching the replay, definitely put in comments, any questions, insights that you would like to share with everybody here. So Cecile also asked, which country mode taught you the most? That were the most different from other cultures? I think that was like two.
That's every country. I think it's every country, but the country, goodness, I lived in East Africa for a year and went to 10 countries, and every country teaches you something different. But I will tell you what has been a fundamental thread is that there are people who are happy out there not making a lot of money. People are happy. Like, we do this thing to ourselves in the US and in Western culture where we think we need a certain level of financial capability or whatever to be happy. When I started traveling, I spent, I think, between age 23 and 28, I was in Brazil 40 times or something like that. I was in Brazil a lot, and I learned how to speak Portuguese there. And my friends didn't make a ton of money, but every Saturday they would have a churrasco, and churrasco is like a cookout. You know, in general, they were going to work to pay for their families and to have this cookout every Saturday. Like, everybody was so happy. It, to this day, it sticks with me how happy everybody was, and I see that in a lot of ways in different places. So take that for what it's worth. But the one country that has affected me a lot is Turkey, because it introduced me to the Mediterranean region, and I fell in love with it. I'm always there. There's something about the the water, the people, the food that resonates with me in a big way. When I'm not there, I want to get back there. So Turkey's my country that taught me the most. I just felt connected to it.
That's super cool. That's I didn't know that you spoke Portuguese. Could
Yeah,
we?
Portuguese, French, and
What?
Haitian Creole. Since I'm Haitian.
Whoa, that's super cool. That's what would you say with geographic freedom? We've covered it a little bit, but
Yeah,
what would you say for somebody who would like to achieve that? Um, does it make sense to start out here? How should they start out?
I think geographic freedom is a choice, and it has nothing to do with money. I'll just a friend because people think they need money to be everywhere all over the world, and sometimes it has nothing to do with money. I mean, you can people have been doing the digital nomad thing for a long time, right? There are people who live in Bali making 30 grand a year, being extremely mobile. What shuts us down is that we've been taught to be consumers. We buy a lot of crap, and then we are slaves to that crap, and then we got to go to work forever to pay for that junk. Um,
Yeah,
Someone I was coaching was an executive in New York. I think you know this story, Sam, but she was an executive in New York at a marketing firm. She was not geographically free, but she was making a lot of money because she was stuck at the office pretty much 6 days a week. We finally got to the point where, mentality wise, we gave up. She gave up the job in favor of geographic freedom, and she works virtually, doing odd development jobs, and probably went from like a 250 salary down to about 75 grand. But she's not living in New York, and you know how expensive New York is, right? So now she's based out of Portugal, and she's traveling around Europe all the time, doing all this stuff. I mean, she has geographic freedom. She has the stuff that people who are like, when I make $1 million, I'm going to travel around Europe. You can make $40,000 and travel around Europe, or you know what I mean, or just work remotely or what have you. So that's a choice. The one thing I love though is not getting mail, physical mail. So all my physical mail comes into Earth Class Mail, which is this online tool or whatever, and I can manage my life doing that. So that's important for geographic freedom, being able to operate your life, no matter where you are.
that's in the show notes we can put in the tools, resources that you would recommend
Sure.
later on, so that people can find that out. I really like how you said in Europe you can just, with less. Here's the thing: we're from Europe, me and
Yeah.
Cecilia, so we've lived that so many times. So it's super true. We have friends that just jump in the car, do the same thing as a lot of people in US are doing, traveling by
Yeah.
truck,
And
that,
there's
or
also
trains.
nothing wrong with being a family that is plugged into a neighborhood. I think that's fine too. As long as you find whatever makes you happy, do that. And if that includes geographic freedom, great. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But find your own definition of happiness. But with these freedom principles I talked about, I'm starting to realize the more you focus on one or many of them, you tend to be a bit happier than just being on the hamster wheel every day.
Yeah. Could we dive into the time freedom one, because I think that's wait, we didn't first relationships and then time freedom, because that would be perfect, I
Sure.
think.
Relationship freedom. If you are in a toxic relationship, toxic romantic relationship, and your significant other is not allowing you to kick it with other people because they're jealous or something, you don't have freedom of relationships. If you are working a job and it requires you to be there 16 hours a day, or you feel the underlying pressure to hit all the networking events, and you don't have freedom of relationships, because it's really important for us to be meeting people outside of our immediate circles to build and to learn and what have you. I think that's why LinkedIn is fantastic. I am studying to be a better philanthropist. I want to give money away as a career. There are tips and tactics that other people have used that I can adapt to the model that I'm trying to create. So I'm trying to build relationships, leveraging LinkedIn, and I'm constantly looking at like hashtag philanthropy, hashtag philanthropist, hashtag give money away, hashtag charitable organizations. And I just read and learn. And then we'll reach out to people on DM and ask a lot of questions and stuff like that. We need to build relationships. I have my circles, I call them circles. My circles of people exist in federal law enforcement, state and local law enforcement, management consulting, real estate, philanthropy, Haitian communities, Omega Psi Phi fraternity, um, playing football. Like we need relationships to grow. And if you don't have them, if you are constantly around the same people day in and day out, I think you are minimizing your growth and minimizing opportunity. So and people are fearful about starting businesses and doing something new. Fear is just a lack of information. You can fill that gap very quickly by building a relationship with someone who has that knowledge. Hence, I'm a real estate developer in the Mediterranean in less than a year. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but my partner does, right? So I am learning by watching him and being vulnerable in that sense. So, I built relationships. That's what I mean by freedom to build meaningful relationships.
That's powerful. There are so many takeaways for all of you all watching this live.
Mm,
Definitely share with us here what you learned, what your main takeaways are. And in speaking of philanthropy,
mm,
I would like to give a shout out to our next speaker next Thursday, Akumishi. Oh, 1 second, I'm gonna butcher her last name unless I read it. Akumishi Ayanaye. She's in Nigeria. She's building a school,
nice,
futuristic school, basically, where she's sharing the books that we wish we had in school. The
nice.
Start with Whys, the mindset, all those books. That's what she's doing right now. So for all of you all watching this live, this is a plug to Akumishi and her project in Nigeria. You can support it by connecting with her and finding out more. So yeah, and she's speaking here next Thursday, where you can ask all the questions during the live interview. When you're saying that, building these relationships to learn from each other,
Yeah.
what would be some great ways to for the topic of Capital Races Club, or for the topic of freedoms, what would be the best ways of initiating those kind of relationships where you learn within capital raising or within uh, you're developing right now in Mediterranean. So how did you build those relationships? What steps do you recommend for all of our listeners?
You got to provide. I mean, some people, people who are very successful in what they do, and by success, I'm not talking just about money. People who are good at what they do tend to want to share the information. Like, I do want to share information about all the stuff that I do. I just run out of time a lot. But the way that I engage in relationships that I am seeking for things that I want to do is I provide some sort of value. You have to. People are busy, busy, busy. I never ask for meetings more than 10 minutes. Please stop asking for hour meetings, people. That people are just way too busy. If you can get on someone's calendar for 10 minutes, take it. If you can engage with them on LinkedIn DM using the voice note feature, you can have a full blown conversation over a 5 month period. But people don't have time for a 45-minute conversation during the business day, right? In my case, my value to my business partner and now really good friend for the development stuff, I have built businesses before, I corporate life, and I also have capital. That's a value, right? But the funny thing in that instance was that he is a by-country person, spending a lot of time in the U.S. and spending a lot of time in the Med as well. And I also think he was looking for camaraderie and someone who was like-minded and was wanted to go back and forth and was interested in developing a relationship on the island and here as well. That's how we've become friends. So you provide value in some way and you humble yourself. I know real estate, but I don't know that stuff. I don't dealing in government offices over there is a very challenging thing. Anyways, you want to build relationships? Find a way to provide value. Time, money, passion, uh, other resources, link them to articles, do something for that person. And then along the way, ask questions here and there on what it is you are interested in. The amount of messages I get nowadays on, hey, can I get, I don't even know and I try, but hey, can I get 30 minutes of your time? Like, no, I don't have it unless it's a very succinct thing. Folks have to get better about what you are asking because people's time is really valuable.
Value goals. Holy cow. That's, I want to go back and take many notes. When you said, wait, I'm not going to preface this one. We connected and we've been talking now for almost it's about 10 months, I guess.
Yeah.
And every time I'm super, super inspired by the way that you're thinking. And it's not just that. Last time we spoke, it was more about you're traveling a lot, you have family, and you keep those relationships tight. How is that for anybody who's considering traveling with or without family? What are some tidbits you would like to share? Because I think that goes to core to the that goes straight to the core of why people do what they do. So how can you manage both? How can you have multiple successes in life with both family and your freedoms?
A good partner. That's the I mean, in relation to kids, I mean, one of my kids is an adult now, but I do have an 8-year-old, and I have a good partner. And there has there, and this is what I go. I don't want to get in any relationship that forces me to not be who I am. I've been a traveler since my 20s and a bit of a mental and physical explorer. Um, my family knows that, and they are tolerant of who I am, very tolerant of who I am. My kid is tolerant, but my 8-year-old has been to 9 countries already. And although we were supposed to be in Greenland over New Year's, I think you know that we're headed to Greenland soon here. You have to have people around you that who understand who you are and are tolerant, and then give back to them when they need it. Right. That's why I've been sitting put for the last few weeks and stuff. But everything that I'm doing, I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I don't know. I didn't have kids to not be who I'm supposed to be. I had kids so I can give them the best life possible. That doesn't mean I would stop growing in the manner that I want to grow, right? So you you want to have partners who are willing to support you in that respect, but you also need to be able to sacrifice as well when the time comes. Like my travel is probably going to slow down because I'm going to start being primary day to day here soon. Um, but I have the time freedom to do it now. It's very different, right? I don't have to be anywhere ever for the rest of my life at this point. But you just have to have good partners and family who truly understands who you are and put it out there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody who is in the comments watching this live, definitely drop some questions and insights that you would like to share with you all, with all of us here. I would like to ask time freedom. You mentioned it several times, and let's dive deeper. How do you see time freedom?
Time, I feel it's cliche, but time is the only real asset that we have. You can print more money, as the U.S. federal government does constantly. You can print more money. You can create more things. You can draw more stuff, but you can't get time back. The way you get time freedom is in my case, you buy or create things that generate money or outcomes such that you're not using your time to do it. I work a lot, but I work on my purpose. So I am freely using my time how I want to, but I am not trading my time for money anymore. I did trade my time for money for a couple of decades, but I took that money and bought assets that now pay me. I am still trading my time in a way to like build Quattro Capital and support the investors that I work for and with, but that's a purpose. That's by choice at this point. So I would say to anyone like getting into this space or thinking about it, instead of worrying about what title you are at work, worry about creating or buying something that will pay you in the future such that your ability to make money is divorced from the time is divorced from time to create it. And then you will have a certain level of time freedom. And people don't realize, man, when you have time freedom, like as soon as I retired from all the W2 jobs, my creative mind blossomed. I was so busy all the time thinking about other people's missions that I wasn't thinking about other things that I could be doing to impact people in a positive way. Don't worry about the money you're going to lose. Make enough money to cover your basic needs, and then things change. Focus on getting time freedom if you can, and then go from there. But you got to find a way to free yourself up. If it's giving up salary, or if it's being a bartender in Thailand or whatever, then do that. People are just stuck on other people's definition of success rather than using time for what they want to do, and it's not always related to money.
That's intense. And I would like to dive deeper on, you said assets, acquire assets.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier also, I think it was like minute 10 for everybody's watching replay, about how you started already at a young age, acquiring properties and building on that. What would you say to somebody who's looking to follow your footsteps? Where should they focus?
I am a real estate person for sure, but there's too many ways to make money now. I mean, we are in internet 3.0 at this point. You can save or store money from your paycheck over time and buy assets like real estate, stocks, or something else. You can take that knowledge that you have in your brain that you've developed over time at your career, create a digital product, put that digital product into the ether and sell that digital product, and then create passive income that way. Not me, but I now know people who are on YouTube and they put their knowledge out there. They create videos and they generate revenue off of videos. And I'm not talking, a couple $100 here and there. I'm talking 50, 100,000, $200,000 off of YouTube. Look, whatever it is, recognize that our 9 to 5s are not going to be with us 24/7, 365 for the rest of our lives. Our 5 to 9s, just like I posted today on LinkedIn, are. Your mechanism by which you live is going to be with you for the rest of your life. Now, for some people, if you work a job and it fortunately has a pension, like I got pensions out of the military and police. I think that's wonderful too. That might be your path. But for most people, there are no pensions. anymore. And we don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to live. We just need a little bit, as long as you're keeping your expenses down, right? So I can't tell people exactly what asset class to get into. All I can tell you is put a lot of mental energy on something that's going to generate revenue for you for a period of time, and then use that revenue to live life extremely well. Um, and buy assets that will eventually grow in value and pay you over time. That's what I did really well in my 20s. I was aware of it, and I just kept buying assets, and my assets buy assets now.
How do you mean your assets buy more assets now? Could you explain that for those
Yeah,
that
it's
aren't
kind of a
familiar?
self-fulfilling thing. So the way that I bought assets, or effectively real estate back in the day, was saving money for my paycheck for down payment. I would get a loan from the bank and then buy the asset. Go back to work, save another down payment, go, asset. Back to work, save and back. Okay. Now what's happening is my assets have grown in value, and I will 1031 exchange, or I'll sell an asset and that asset will go buy another asset. I still don't live off of, and probably never will, the revenue that comes, or the equity or revenue that comes from stuff that I bought since I was 20. I'm still living off of very little because I'm a minimalist. I don't need a lot to live. I probably live off of like 6 grand a month. I have a humble home. My car's paid off. I don't do a lot. But if you can get to a point where your assets are buying assets because they're growing in value, and you are selling those assets, chopping it up, and then going to buy more assets, that's the self-fulfilling prophecy that we should have been taught in school, and we weren't. You got to get to a point where your assets, well, not everybody, but it is wonderful if you can get to a point where your assets buy assets, because as long as your family or business partners are self-educated, it will continue into perpetuity. It just keeps going, and then you can execute on your purpose like I do, because you have time freedom and financial resources to go help a lot of people.
That's incredible. And it snowballs and becomes more.
That's exactly what happened. And I want to make one more point. I know I keep saying I started in my 20s, Sam, but I did. I started when I was 21, and it was just like this even thing that was like steady as she goes. I had my bumps, like the 2008 downturn crushed me, but I recovered from it, and but I'm 46 now. It was like when I was 42 this started happening, because the snowball effect finally caught up, and it's been doing this. But that's because I developed a muscle over the years of not buying crap. I just kept buying assets. Even, what, I love Tesla. I went to go buy a Tesla car because I sold a condo. I had 50 grand cash, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself to buy the car. So instead of buying Tesla car, I bought 50 grand in Tesla stock, because that was my mindset of like, nah, you buy the thing. That was like 10 years ago. So you can imagine what has happened with that since. Um, it's just, you buy assets. I can't tell people what to buy, but put energy into what is going to pay me in the future.
That's incredible. That's just the way to live. Also, not okay. I'm not gonna preach.
It's basic living, man. It's basic living, and then you invest the rest. You
Yeah,
self-educate, and yes, I've lost money along the way. Don't get me wrong, but I've had way more wins than losses, and I'm glad that I jumped and just did it.
yeah. Hey, you said earlier in the show, you said you started reading books. You mentioned Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Are there any other books that you read on the regular? Which books would you recommend people to definitely start here with these
Well,
books?
the I'll give you. Well, I don't reread the first one, but the first one that kicked everything off when I was 21 was Personal Finance for Dummies. It just gave me a foundation for everything. But the books that I reread constantly, one is the 4 Hour Work Week, for the lifestyle stuff that you and I know about, automating your life, outsourcing, getting really process oriented about lifestyle design. So that's the 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. The other one that I reread is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, because I never want to forget, because my meaning may shift. The last one that I read all the time is Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game. It is a 700-page behemoth, but you will have an education around investing and stocks and why the financial industry is pulling the wool over our eyes. People don't realize that a 2% management fee on your 401k that has been there forever is going to rob you of 40 to 60% of the gains, because management fees compound over time too. That book, more than real estate, that book, Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, where he interviews 40 of the craziest financial minds in the past 3 decades, powerful, 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 powerful. So those are the books that I reread: Money Master the Game, The 4 Hour Work Week, and Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
That book blew my mind too, and it's
Yeah.
super big for all of you all who.
Listen to it on
It's
audio.
worth it.
Great.
Yeah, but it's definitely worth it. Definitely get through it because it's, yeah, just listen to it. That's great. What thoughts or what insights would you like to leave our audience with today? Wait. Before then,
Yep.
could you please let us know how to best contact you?
Oh,
I brought up here the contact form from Quattro Capital, where you
yeah.
can go to the Quattro Way. Okay, I'm not gonna spell that, but the quattroway.com.
There you go. Watchaway.com. Listen, I speak to everybody. At minimum, I respond to everybody all the time, and I have just about every platform. So LinkedIn is just Maurice Philogene. Send me a DM, whatever. I talk about these types of topics in relation to business. Um, Instagram, I love because I'm showing more of the lifestyle design stuff, being all over the world, how I'm doing it, why I'm up. Sam sees it, right? I'm always posting at 4 a.m. in the morning. Like, it's important, right? And people are like, why do you post the same thing that you go to the gym at 4 a.m. in the morning? Because I'm showing you habits that have worked, especially for the coaching students that I work with. I'm still doing it, and that's why I get so much done in a day. So Instagram is Maurice Philogene, Facebook is Maurice Philogene. The quattroway.com is the website of my company, Quattro Capital. Very proud of it. Very proud of it. Very proud of it. And Chad, Aaron, Kim, Tammy, my partners. I love them. We are a family that is operating as a company. We are add value investors. We help investors who want to gain their own version of financial freedom by investing in large scale multifamily apartments across the United States. We did about 100 million last year. We'll do that again this year. We'll probably beat it. And our returns to investors have been phenomenal. So thequattroway.com, and just reach out. And I love to talk to you about whatever you'd like to talk about.
That's perfect. What thoughts or what insights would you like to share with our audience today?
Brother, for all this business talk and everything, and I know this is LinkedIn Live, I have to tell you something. We
And
are
YouTube
not.
Live and Twitter. And Twitter and YouTube Live too.
Twitter and YouTube.
We
Okay,
have
Twitter,
more audience on YouTube right now, actually.
Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of it. I'm for the business stuff. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. We didn't even get into the restaurant stuff. All this stuff is either because you want to challenge yourself or because you want to live a good life. I really encourage people to think through, like, if you are working your butt off in the 9 to 5 or corporate or whatever, I think it's fine. I did the same for 2 decades. But what is the purpose of what you are doing? Are you using that capital in a smart way so you can truly access what this big blue planet has to offer? We need just a little bit of cash and a lot of time to go experience the world. And I think people just get lost in the day to day. They get lost in the 9 to 5, lost in the I got to hit the metro, go to work, eat Subway sandwich for lunch, go back into work, go home, do homework with the kids, drink a Miller Lite, feel awful, go to bed, wake up, do it again. There's too much to do on this planet. Find a way to generate revenue or to reorient your life, design your life in such a way that you can access the planet and do more things. That's all I would leave you with, man, because my 46-year-old self is thanking my 23-year-old self every day. I don't know why I had that foresight to think that way back in the day. But I am living the life that I knew I would get some version of it, but I'm happy where I am and what has happened. So I just encourage people to kind of think about how they are executing and what they can do such that their future self thanks them today.
There's no words here. I'm speechless. I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna study the show notes too. And thank you so much, Maurice, for Mo, for taking time for this. And holy cow, can't wait to continue following you on all the
Brother,
platforms.
brother.
You're inspirational beyond. Uh,
I
it,
appreciate that, and
it's so humbling to learn from you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I love it. I I know I have figured something out. I'm aware of that now, especially because it's funny. As soon as I left corporate and people figured out what had happened, the amount of people that reached out was like, What is going on? How did you do that?" So if people are out there who are trying to figure out their version of freedom, I do coach. I'm just going to throw that out there. I have to plug myself a little bit, but I only
Please
coach.
do. Do you have a link for that?
There's no link. I just like, and listen, coaching does not move the needle for me financially. It doesn't. Real estate does. But I like helping people. You know that, Sam. I like
Yeah.
helping people figure stuff out. And if there's someone I can help them figure out their version of freedom, then I'm here for that as well.
Definitely take him up on that. Everybody who's watching this, I'm calling you out. Connect with Mo if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? It's watching your posts, watching your videos, everything that you put out. It's with intention, just like your lifestyle has been with intention for the past decades.
I
It's
appreciate it.
incredible to take part of it and just get to see how that can play out and modeling it. That's what we're doing right now. We're modeling that. It's incredible. Thank you so much,
My
Mo.
pleasure, brother. I'm glad you did it, Sam. I appreciate you. I value you. And thank you for letting me do it with you.
Thank you. Hey, we're gonna give a shout out to our sponsor one last time. We're gonna do this video here. Let's see if it works. And if it doesn't, you can always go to the link that is linked in below. That's it for today, and thank you all for being here today. And wow, what an episode! Thank you, Mo.
Take care.
Take care. Is it working? All right. So this is Shkan Hotel in Veracruz. If you've never been to Veracruz or Mexico before, definitely go visit Veracruz. And when you do, hit up Hotel Shkan Boutique. It's an awesome hotel here in Veracruz, Boca del Rio. And you can go to the link in the chat that we shared here earlier for more information. I'm looking for the link. There we have it. Here's the link. Thank you all for staying here with us today. I see Don is saying, you all stay safe. You too, Don. Appreciate you and everybody else who's watching the replay. Definitely connect with Mo. Just do it. It's going to change your lives and you're going to feel inspired every day. Talk to you soon. See you all next Tuesday or Thursday. Talk soon.